Hi guys, Sarah with the Wreath Shop here. Today we're going to make a lovely lavender wreath on a moss wreath base. It's actually going to be lavender and purple. So we have an 18-inch moss wreath base, which you can find at the Wreath Shop. You can find all of these supplies there. We're going to use 2 of these pretty lavender bushes. They are plastic, but they're a really pretty plastic bush. They're soft, they're not cheap, shiny looking. Love these. They're really rich and full. So we're going to use 2 of those. And then we're going to use these beautiful purple ranunculus. I love ranunculus. They're so pretty. Can you imagine how pretty this is going to be? And then we're going to use a 1.5 inch beige colored ribbon for a bow. We sell these in 10 yards and 50 yards. I use a 50 yard because we use so much of it to make projects. You can use it for everything. So I highly recommend grabbing a 50 yard. And we're going to get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to clip off each piece of these. This frame, you'll see it's moss wrapped around like a wire frame. So you can actually poke these right into there, but we are going to glue them because they will fall out if you do not glue them. So we're going to clip all these off. And we're going to use this first bush. We're going to place them all going this way around the wreath. And then the second bush we'll do coming back this way and have our bow in the center. And then we'll go back in and add in the ranunculus. So I'm just going to start poking these in there. These are on pushers, these pusher stems, which are great. So you can move everything around on the stem to where you'd like it. That'll come into play later when we need to fill things in and figure out where they are. So I'm just going to stagger these throughout. So I'm just going to put one in the center and then stagger this a little bit higher off to one side. And this one on the inside. You can see all my little pushers are way down at the bottom, so I'm going to move them up. This bush, it is powdered. It has a white powder on it, so it doesn't look plasticky, so the powder does come off on you. So I'm gonna wait until I get all these placed how I like them to glue them into place. So you can always move them around and nothing's permanent until they're glued. Again, you can find all of these supplies at thewreathshop.com. We are going to offer this as a kit, and the link will be below in the details. And we'll list the individual items as well. So if you don't want the full kit, you can find the individual items. You can see how it's coming, looking good. If you are working on a flat surface like I am, you will want to pick it up and look at it every once in a while so you see how it lays when it's actually vertical. You may need to fill in some spots or change some things. You may need to put some things up higher. And just play with it, move them around until they are where to your liking. Okay, that's looking pretty good to me. So I'm going to take my second bush and cut all these off. Okay, so our bow is going to go right here. So we're going to come down and go this way. Again, staggering them. Also keeping it nice and full. And so you'll want to place them so that you have some coming down straight and some coming up straight at first, and then you want to start getting them to go more sideways so they go in the right direction. And you'll want to push these pushers up so you can get this far enough down in your moss wreath base. I love these moss wreath bases for spring. Moss just yells spring for me. You mostly want to get most of the coverage there where they're all going in and where your bow is going to be right there, so you don't have a bunch of gaps there. So I'm going to start placing these going sideways. This is so simple and easy. Anyone can do it. You can do this on a grapevine base as well if you prefer. Okay, I think that looks really good. Still keep seeing some moss back there. I need to move some pieces down. Here we go. I'm going to go ahead and add in our bow now before we do the ranunculus. So as you'll see, this moss leaves a bit of a mess behind. So I'm going to grab my horsehair brush here and clean this mess off. So I'm going to take my ribbon and we're going to make the bow. We're going to leave a good long tail, and we'll decide how much we want to trim it when we're done after we place it on the wreath. So for now, I'm going to leave about a 17-inch tail, and we'll probably end up trimming that down a little bit. So I'm going to pinch it. And then we're going to make, I think, 5.5-inch loops. So we need to measure out 11 inches. We'll double that up. And you should end up with a 5.5-inch bow. Just double check that. Right there. check those. We're going to do 4 loops on each side, all the same size. And then we're going to do 4 slightly smaller loops. It's okay if they're not all exactly the same size. Nothing has to be perfect. You just want them close. And then we're going to cut our long tail. I'm going to grab one of my green chenille stems, which you can also find at the Wreath Shop. And it matches that moss wreath perfectly and blends in. Tie that tight and twist it. And I'm going to go ahead and tie this on here. I'm simply pulling it tight in the back and twisting it. You can either clip those off if you want, or just poke them into the wreath. And that's what's great about these moss wreath bases too, so you don't have to worry about them scratching your door. And I still haven't glued all these pieces in yet, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. You can either do it with your glue gun, or if you have a glue skillet, glue pot, you can do that. I'm going to use my glue gun so I don't have to pull these out and then try to remember where they were. I'm using the Surebonder glue gun with the Gorilla Glue sticks. They hold like cement. They're great. Does take a minute to dry. That side done. I'm going to go around and glue these in. I would probably recommend gluing these in before you put your bow on. I just forgot. So while that side's drying, I'm going to go back over here and give all these a little tug and make sure everything's set up and glued in and I didn't miss anything. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fluff my bow up now. Start with the bottom first and take the bottom 2 loops and pull apart, and then take the opposite 2 on the other side and pull them apart, but also pull them, I'm going to fluff them up so they're not just out. And then you'll do the same with the smaller 2 on each side. You have your tails. I'm going to go ahead, trim these. I'm just going to dovetail those. They They really don't even have to be the same size if you don't want. You can do whatever you want with them. See how pretty it looks already, just like that. So I'm saying you can leave it just like that if you want. But we are going to take these gorgeous ranunculus. And I do not care for these leaves, so we're not going to use those leaves. We're just going to use the flowers. I'm going to clip them off. And then we'll place them. And again, we'll go around placing them before we glue them, so we make sure they're where we want them. I'm gonna leave some of them longer just in case we want some long ones. So I am going to want a short one up by the bow, it's the center. Okay, so I think I want one on the inside here and one, let's see. May just depend on how your other flowers lie as to where you want things. So I decided I wanted one there with how everything else was lying. So I'm gonna stick this one up here on the inside. And then place one here on the outside as well. Place one up here. Stagger one out here. And then finish off with one out here. Perfect. And look how pretty that is. So we're gonna glue, let me just double check. Make sure. I need to turn this. There we go. You turn it so your purple is showing and not all the green grass. And if you have too much of the grass, just clip it off. I love how that beige burlap color works with this lavender and purple. Just soft colors everywhere. There you go. You have a beautiful lavender floral wreath in just about 30 minutes. Look how beautiful that is. Again, you can find this wreath kit or all the individual supplies at thewreathshop.com. Be sure and like and subscribe to our YouTube channel to find more crafting tutorials. Happy crafting!